It's a well-known fact that the history of humanity that we know today is all described in the religious or ancient books of the world. But as we know, there are two kinds of people. One that agrees with everything that's been told to them, and the other keeps on researching until they find contradictory evidence. So naturally, archaeologists come in the second category. So this time, they found evidence that what we initially knew about God being a man is not exactly true, and that God has genders. So yes, you heard that right. But how did they come to this conclusion? And what makes them think this is true? Let's find out in today's video. Oldest meteorite from Sahara. A meteorite found in the Sahara Desert was dated at 4.56 billion years old, making the volcanic rock older than Earth, which is 4.54 billion years old. The rock, popularly known as Erg-Chech-002 or EC002, named after the Algerian location where it was discovered, is a rare artifact from a protoplanet, a massive body of matter in orbit around the Sun or another star that is thought to be developing into a planet that was likely forming when the solar system was 2 million years old. The solar system and its planets were thought to have evolved to their current structure around 4.57 billion years ago, while the Sun formed first over 4.6 billion years ago. The research team hypothesizes that this astronomical body would have been destroyed or absorbed by larger rocky planets as they formed closer to the Sun. The meteorite was part of a group discovered in the Erg-Chech Sand Sea near Birban-Takul in Algeria in May 2020. The stones are described as having a coarse-grained, tan and beige appearance with green, yellow-green, and yellow-brown crystals interspersed. They're igneous, meaning they're formed from molten rock or magma. A rock like EC002 is a relic from the solar system's very early days. Most of the material from that time has since become a part of other bodies that have evolved to form planets or asteroids, from which we have a plethora of meteorites today. No known asteroid or meteorite resembles EC002, indicating how rare the discovery is and how these rocks are likely extinct. EC002 is an chondrite, a type of meteorite formed from a parent body with a differentiated crust and core, similar to the rocky planets. Chondrites are devoid of chondrules, round, bubble-like grains of partially molten droplets that form in space when smaller bits of rock collide. This rock is thought to have formed from partially molten magma in the crust of its parent body and is high in silica, whereas most magma is high in iron. It's also classified as ungrouped, which means that while its characteristics are well defined, they do not fit into any established meteorite groups. According to the researchers, the rock was most likely part of the crust of an ancient protoplanet or early rocky planet that eventually broke up. The magma from which EC002 formed would have been at least 1,220 degrees Celsius and would have taken at least 100,000 years to cool and solidify. The lost golden city dates back to 3,000 years. Zahi Hawass, an Egyptian scholar, declared the discovery of the lost golden city near Luxor, the site of the ancient city of Thebes. The city was founded between 1391 and 1353 BC during Amenhotep III's reign. Many of the walls of the Rise of Aten have been well preserved. So far, the researchers have discovered a bakery, an administrative district, a residential area, scarab beetle amulets, pottery, and other commonplace items. During the second half of the New Kingdom period, Amenhotep was the ruler, the 9th king of the 18th dynasty. He oversaw the construction of numerous massive temples and public buildings. He shared the power with his eldest son, who soon was going to be Amenhotep IV, near the end of his reign. The team discovered an inscription dating from 1337 BC in Saud Atun, just a year before Akhenaten established his capital at the place of Amarna. Brian notes in the statement that the newly discovered city provides a unique glimpse into the life of ancient Egyptians during the empire, as well as shedding light on the suspicious mystery of why the king and queen moved to Amarna. Following Akhenaten's death, his son Tutankhamun's government reversed the country's transformation. However, according to BBC News, Tutankhamun and his successor, continued to use the Rise of Aten. According to Mustafa Mari, the archaeologist looked for clues to the city's history in hieroglyphic inscriptions on the lids of wine vessels and other containers. For example, one vase containing boiled or dried meat was inscribed with the names of 2 city residents, as well as information indicating that Amenhotep and Akhenaten jointly ruled the city at the time it was designed. The team also discovered a production area for mud bricks to build temples and structures. The bricks bear the seal of Amenhotep. Casting molds also show that workers in the city produced decorations and amulets for temples and tombs. Evidence of spinning and weaving was also there at the site. An incredible zigzag wall with one entry point encloses a residential and administrative area. suggesting that authorities maintained high security by limiting movement inside and out. A room within the city also contained the burial of 2 cows or bulls, an unusual find that archaeologists are still investigating. Historic banknote found inside Chinese sculpture. It's not daily that you get hold of a 700-year-old banknote, and for Ray Trageskis, the head of the Asian art at Australia's Moss Green auction house, the rare opportunity felt like a once-in-a-lifetime find. While investigating the underside of a 14th century wooden Buddhist sculpture, Tragaskis discovered the treasure. He discovered a crumpled up piece of paper inside the cranial cavity. The unassuming parchment was a 700-year-old Ming Dynasty banknote, one of China's earliest printed currencies. In Sydney, Australia, the banknote and Buddhist sculpture were auctioned off as part of the Raffi Star collection of an important Asian art auction. They sold for about 48,032 Australian dollars, or $35,806. Antique Buddhist sculptures are known as treasure troves, but this banknote was a one-of-a-kind find. It's common to find materials like mantra rolls, relics, grains, incense, and semi-precious stones that a monk or lama has placed inside gilt bronze sculptures, says Luke Guan, a Moss Green Asian art specialist. However, no one has ever found money inside a wooden sculpture. It's impossible to say how the money ended up inside the sculpture, but thanks to the dates printed on the note, Moss Green specialists could confirm the sculpture's age and better understand its history. They believe a man may have placed the banknote inside the sculpture while commissioning repairs 40 or 50 years after the sculpture was created. The banknote and carving style suggests the artwork was created during the Hongwu period of China, so the date is estimated to be in the 14th century. The wood sculpture depicts the head of a wise person, Lu Han, who has received nirvana after passing through the 4 stages of enlightenment in Buddhist culture. The sculpture's expressive features, which appear calm and confident, are visible in the exaggerated curves and lines of the face. According to Guan, the sculpture was part of a series of 16 to 500 sculptures usually kept inside a Buddhist temple to worship. The banknote is over 700 years old and was created during China's Ming Dynasty, which lasted nearly 300 years, from 1368 to 1644. The reign of the Hongwu Emperor, Zhu Yuanzhang, the Ming Dynasty's founder and first emperor, was prosperous, fueled by strong international trade and a growing population. As a result, China replaced its traditional silver and gold currency with paper money during this period. The emperor himself endorses the bill, which bears 3 official red seals and a line that reads, "This banknote, authorized by the Department of Finance, serves the same purpose as coins. Those who used counterfeit banknotes were to be beheaded, and the whistleblower will be rewarded with 250 liang silvers, as well as the criminal's entire estate." The 3rd year of the Hongwu dynasty. The 1 guan banknote was the powerful denomination available at the time, and was equivalent to 1 liang of silver, 660 RMB, or roughly $98 in face value. If sold separately, its current auction value is estimated between $2,000 and $4,000. Aside from its intrinsic value, the banknote provides historical context. Bills in China at the time were made of handcrafted mulberry bark paper and printed with a carved woodblock, the technology that's had an important role throughout Chinese history. This printing method, which dates back to 868 AD, enabled the dissemination of information, art, and literature. So that's all with the ancient book that rewrites the history of the origin of humans. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and stay tuned for more such uploads.